Welcome back to Icons of Influence, the podcast where we explore the lives of extraordinary individuals who have shaped history. I'm Hannah Halley, and today we're diving into the life of a man whose impact transcends borders, generations, and movements. Mahatma Gandhi, a figure synonymous with peace, resilience, and the power of nonviolent resistance. Gandhi's philosophy of Satyagraha, truth and nonviolence, not only led India to independence, but also inspired civil rights leaders around the world, from Martin Luther King Jr. to Nelson Mandela. But who was the man behind the movement? How did a shy lawyer transform into a revolutionary leader? What made his methods so powerful? And why does his legacy remain so relevant today? This is the story of Mahatma Gandhi, his journey from a lawyer to a leader, his fight for justice, and the lasting influence of his philosophy. Mahatma Gandhi was born as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi on October 2, 1869, in Porbandar, a coastal town in what is now Gujarat, India. He grew up in a devout Hindu household where values of compassion, honesty, and self-discipline were deeply ingrained. As a young boy, Gandhi was shy and reserved, but he was also incredibly curious. He was deeply influenced by his mother's spirituality, which emphasized fasting, prayer, and self-restraint. These early experiences shaped the values he would later champion on the global stage. At the age of 19, he left India to study law in London, a decision that would expose him to new ideas and philosophies. While there, he encountered the works of great thinkers like Henry David Thoreau, Leo Tolstoy, and John Ruskin, who wrote about civil disobedience, simplicity, and nonviolence. Their teachings planted the seeds of Gandhi's future ideology. However, his real awakening came after law school when he moved to South Africa in 1893. He had accepted a legal position there, but it wasn't long before he experienced the brutal realities of racism and discrimination firsthand. One defining moment came during a train journey when Gandhi, despite having a first-class ticket, was forcibly removed from a whites-only carriage. Humiliated and enraged, he realized that his legal education alone wasn't enough. He needed to fight against injustice. This marked the birth of Satyagraha, or Truth Force, a philosophy of peaceful resistance against oppression. Over the next 21 years in South Africa, Gandhi led protests against racial discrimination, organizing strikes, boycotts, and civil disobedience campaigns that would later become the blueprint for India's fight for freedom. In 1915, at the age of 46, Gandhi returned to India with a mission to free his country from British rule. He travelled across the nation, witnessing extreme poverty, unfair taxes, and the cruel treatment of Indian labourers. He knew that change was necessary. Unlike traditional revolutionaries who sought violence as a means to an end, Gandhi proposed a radical idea: non-violent resistance. His first major campaign in India was the Champaran and Kheda Satyagraha in 1917 to 1918, where he led farmers in protest against unfair land taxes. The success of these movements established him as a leader of the people. But his most famous act of defiance came in 1930, the Salt March. At the time, the British had imposed heavy taxes on salt, making it illegal for Indians to collect or produce their own. Gandhi saw this as a perfect opportunity for peaceful rebellion. He marched 240 miles to the Arabian Sea, gathering thousands of followers along the way, and openly defied the law by picking up natural salt from the shore. This simple yet powerful act became a symbol of resistance, shaking the British Empire and capturing the world's attention. Gandhi's ability to mobilize millions without violence was unprecedented. He called for boycotts of British goods, peaceful protests, and civil disobedience. His methods forced the British government to the negotiation table. Despite multiple arrests, beatings, and imprisonments, Gandhi never wavered from his commitment to peace. His perseverance led to the Indian Independence Act of 1947, granting India freedom after nearly 200 years of colonial rule. But his victory was bittersweet. India's independence also brought its partition into two nations, India and Pakistan, leading to violent communal riots. Gandhi was heartbroken by the bloodshed and spent his final years preaching unity, urging Hindus and Muslims to coexist in peace. Gandhi's impact didn't stop at India's borders. His principles of non-violent resistance, self-reliance, and civil disobedience became a guiding force for human rights movements around the world. In the United States, Martin Luther King Jr. adopted Gandhi's philosophy for the American civil rights movement, leading peaceful protests that ultimately dismantled racial segregation. In South Africa, Nelson Mandela drew inspiration from Gandhi's tactics, using non-violent resistance to fight against apartheid before eventually becoming the country's first black president. Even today, activists across the world, from climate movements to social justice campaigns, use Gandhi's philosophy as a foundation for peaceful resistance against oppression. His message was clear: true power doesn't come from violence, but from moral strength, perseverance, and the courage to stand for truth. By the late 1940s, Gandhi had become a global symbol of peace. But despite his success, he remained deeply troubled by the religious tensions that erupted after India's partition. In January 1948, at the age of 78, Gandhi was assassinated in New Delhi by a Hindu extremist who opposed his calls for peace between Hindus and Muslims. His death was a tragedy, but his ideals lived on. Today, Gandhi is revered worldwide as a beacon of non-violence and moral leadership. His teachings continue to shape modern struggles for human rights, freedom, and justice. His birthday, October 2nd, is now recognised as the International Day of Non-Violence. More than 7 decades after his passing, Gandhi's influence is as strong as ever. He proved that even in the face of immense oppression, one person armed with truth and peace can change the course of history. And that's why he is, without a doubt, an icon of influence. That wraps up today's episode. If you found Gandhi's story inspiring, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep seeking the truth and standing for what's right.